In today's video, we're going to go through a high-level overview of how a recruiter might use Bullhorn's front office growth package. To start off with, as soon as I log in, the first page that I can see is my OneView analytics page. And on this page, it makes it incredibly obvious to me what's expected. I can see my key KPIs and metrics listed across the top. I can see other activity summaries and other revenue summaries that might be relevant to me. But somewhere where our consultants typically get a little bit more value is through what we call actionable insights. And what these are is essentially, instead of just providing metrics for your consultants to see on their OneView page, we also provide them with guided actions that they can start to take to help them achieve those metrics and get closer to the money. So in this case, I can see I have 12 new jobs at the moment, but maybe I don't know which candidates are available or which ones would be a good fit to start. Using my actionable insight, I can see I have 6 new candidates I haven't sent through to any job or contact just yet, and this gives me a really good head start to click into the metric, see the candidates available, and match them up with any of those jobs that I might have around. So using my actionable insights, I was able to see that I have a software engineer position that I haven't added a submission to in the last 14 days. Realizing I need to move quick on this, I used my other actionable insight to see Jeff Liu, a candidate I have that looks like a good fit for one of those roles. I know that my last action was supposed to be floating out a candidate to the client, so in this case, I need to generate that really quickly. However, in doing that, when I open up the candidate's profile, I realize that might take me a little bit of time to summarize their profile to understand how good a fit they might be for this role. Instead, with Bullhorn, I can use my AI assistant to make this task incredibly easy. My AI assistant has pre-built out prompts that generate content for me that's standardized. And in this case, I select for floating my candidate to the client. I select for the job specifically, being able to do it based on a code. And I hit generate to create me a short candidate float specific to the job. I copy that to the clipboard, and then I can go across to the contacts record and send out an email to float the candidate out using a message template that I've already had set up. This makes it incredibly easy for me to float out my candidate, all being done within the span of a couple of minutes instead of summarizing this myself. So after sending out some good candidates to Tom comes back to me with another job that he'd like for me to place for him. In this case, he sends me a few key details that I attach to the internal job description. But I want to post this job out to find other candidates across some job boards we have. So I use my AI assistant to again create me a public job description based on a pre-built out prompt, and within a couple of clicks, I have a much nicer public facing job description that I can copy and paste to the clipboard, attach to the job, and from here, now I have a much nicer description that I can publish out to a job board from. Once I publish this out to the job board, I realized that not all the candidates that came back through were what I was looking for. So I decided to use our internal database instead to see what candidates we have available. Using my AI assistant, I create a Boolean string. I generate that, and I can use this Boolean string to search our database. When I'm searching the database, all I have to do is copy and paste this Boolean string across, set up different filters, maybe based on something like address as well, and then I can search across. And when I search across, now I've found the other candidates in our database that fit that criteria, and I can search through, looking at their CVs, using this slide out view to determine which of these candidates are the best fit. Once I've determined that, all I have to do is click on as many of them fit my search as I need, select on them, and add them as an application into the job. Once I've added them as an application, they appear back on the application screen here, listed against the job. From this application screen, I'm able to move candidates through different statuses or different stages. In this case, all the way from either rejected to placement. I can do this on bulk if need be, or I can do this on an individual basis. And I'm also not restricted between which stage I have to move a candidate through. This allows me to work both at pace, but also to be more specific in the candidates that I'm putting forward as well. When sourcing for these roles, sometimes the application numbers can get pretty high. And sometimes this means that it's not feasible for me to be able to reach out to every single candidate that wasn't successful for the role. In cases like this, I can use automations to help, firstly, send out an automated email as soon as a candidate is rejected, and further down the line, reach out again to ensure that we have the right details, potentially at an interval of, let's say, 6 months later. Once those 6 months has passed, the candidate that's unsuccessful can receive an email that looks like this, automated, and they can click through to fill out a survey, which will re-engage them and help them to update our database with their most recent information. In this case, the candidate can update whether they are interested in hearing about new jobs or not. They can update their email, validate their phone number, and follow on adding details about date availability, city, industries, and also a new resume if that is something they've added in recently. Once done, they complete the survey. For them, they can look forward to hearing about a potential new job that we might have to place for them. For us, as a recruitment consultant, this is incredibly powerful. When the candidate fills out all of those details, they actually update our database for us so that we don't have to manually outreach and manually update that information ourselves. This all flows through into what's called an automation score as well, which tells us how engaged that candidate is. And we can use that scoring alongside the relevancy scoring on our general list view to help us determine which candidates to reach out to and how engaged, or the chances of them being engaged with our search for a candidate going forward. Altogether, this is how our front office growth package can help utilize AI, automation, and analytics together to help your recruiters in their everyday.